clause we specified it is employee, then with respect to, because DNO appears in several both tables, we can't say just DNO, we had to say employee dot DNO or department dot DNO. So, it is possible to use a abbreviation or alias for each of these tables and use the alias for subsequent places. So, the place you define the table is the from clause. So, at that point you can introduce an alias. For example, we can say employee is used, we use the character E to refer to an employee table or character D for department table. You can use E1 or D2, and the number of characters involved is up to you. In this case I have used a single character. So, when you use in that manner, then afterwards you, instead of rewriting all the time as employee or department, you can use a shortened form which is E for employee and D for department. So, you can say E dot star D dot star instead of saying employee dot star or department dot star. Similarly, for the join condition, instead of saying the employee dot DNO, we can say E dot DNO, and similarly D dot DNO for the department. So, based on that this joining would take place. So, that is how the equal join equivalent statement could be issued using SQL. Now, the joining actually, as we also mentioned in the algebra, it is not only the equal, you can join in many forms. Equal is one form of comparison, you can compare with greater than equal, not equal, and so forth, and you can also compare in a way that when you say take the joins, you may want to make sure that you do not lose any data from a particular table, because there are no matching information in a other table. For example, when you match for employee with department, for every employee we had a department number. So, as a result the output also had 3 rows in the earlier example, but sometimes there may not be a matching entry in the other table. So, in that case it is possible that for all employees you do not get the details as in the previous case. Likewise, sometime we may want the details with respect to all departments rather than for all employees. So, the join command allows you to use it in different forms, and through that we have the flexibility to achieve those requirements. So, it is possible to use a join by specifying a left join or a right join or a full join, which you use one of those at a time. And what it means is, when you join there is a 2 tables, one is on the left, one is on the right. So, if you say left join, that means we are interested of the left table all the data, right join means we are interested of right table all the data, or if you say full, we are interested of data of both. That means, we do not want to lose any data after combining. So, you want to make sure all possibilities are looked at the joining process. So, when you are using such keywords at the joining stage, you specify that in the from clause, and once you do that, because the condition are inbuilt with that, you do not need to reintroduce the conditions using a where clause. So, this DNO equals DNO for employee and department, if you attach to the from clause using this outer join or the left join, right join or whatever, then you can eliminate the need to use the where clause. So, so the joining is concerned, there are actually 2 forms, inner join and outer join, and the previous form of equal join actually goes in the category of inner join, that is joining based on the matching values alone. The outer join allows you to go beyond that, you will get more records in the output based on the whether the outer join is left or right or both. So, based on that you use the keyword left, right and full. So, in this particular slide we have given example how to express the left outer join, and the inner join output was the previous slide whatever output we saw earlier. So, left outer join output if you want to look at, then that means you have two tables, we will say employee and department. So, what we had earlier was employee is the left table, department would be the right table, and we are using a left outer join. So, left table is what we are taking as our main source for the output. So, all records of the left table will be also part of the result also, but when you are matching, what will happen is if you can't find a matching entry in the right table, then what it will happen is it will assign null values automatically. So, when you use left outer join, what will happen is the left table all records will be there. If there are matching values, it will put the matching values from the right table, but if you can't find the right matching value, it will put a null entry. So, that is what has happened in this example. So, employee Pereira who works for department number 4, we do not have a record in the department table, that department number is not defined yet. So, as a result when matching, it will put null values for DNO, DNAME and MNO of that particular employee. But with respect to the other records, we have matching values because department number 2 and 7 we do have values. Now, this is because of the left outer join. If you use the inner join, then the output will be without the second row, the first and the third, because in character strings. Now, when you store some data, we say you have a list of project names stored. Now, you want to look for project starting with some particular word, then using this like keyword, we can search for matching values based on that particular condition. So, what we do here is we use a whatever the part of the word we are looking for within that entire string, and then use a particular the string matching character what we are using. So, for SQL the percent sign is used as the wildcard, which is similar to the asterisk what is used in for other purposes in computing, meaning anything that follows after that you can have anything after that, but before it is the word what you have typed here. So, for example, inform percent means anything starting with inform and anything afterwards will be a matching value. So, for information or informatics all will be matching values. So, any project having like information technology and so forth would be possible matching outputs of this expression. So, what we specify is within quotes some expression where you can have whatever the keyword. So, if I use inform percent, the first word must to start with inform, but if I use percent inform percent, then inform can be anywhere in the string. So, you have more flexibility in the way you are expressing. So, with respect to whatever the names, for example, any person's name starting with A, B, E, Y or whatever, then you use a percent, then all names starting with that pattern would be part of our output. So, this wildcard character is the percent, and a single character matching also there is another character, but the common use is with respect to the percent sign. And again like in the earlier case, we can negate anything other than this matching with inform also can be obtained using not in front. So, you can say project name not like inform percent. Then we mentioned about these null values. So, null also sometime we want to eliminate null or sometime we want to look for these null values. Null is a special value. So, as a result you can't compare using the normal operators. So, normal values you compare with equal or greater than or whatever. For null we have to use a keyword called is. So, you express is null or is not null. So, when you say is not null, that means there should be some value, then it will list. is null means it is a special value is what is stored, then only null entries are selected as the condition satisfying. So, the expressions can be combined using is and null or not null, as well as any other expression what we use like between, in and so forth. So, some of the examples are what is given. So, n and o are commonly used for any type of expressions. You will not only use in for databases, but for programming environment you will use it widely. But the main thing to remember is the syntax how you express based on the language it can vary. So, the how SQL specifies is what we are looking at here. How some other programming language may use can be different. So, you need to be aware of that, otherwise you will be not expressing the syntax correctly. So, if you have two conditions, you can specify in this case project name like inform percent and emp name equals dias, meaning both conditions must be satisfied to obtain the output. If it is or, then one of them satisfying is adequate, and if you use not, then the negation of whatever you were referring to. Now, we would later look at few more examples of use of these syntax to extract data. So, here we are only introducing the basic structure and how to use it, but until you apply them for various problems you will not experience the actual expressive power and how to use it as well. Next, we will look at a different aspect of retrieval of data. All the data we looked at so far is retrieving the data as it is from a table, and as it is means it can be a subset of the data in the original table, but you do not modify the data, you just take some columns and some rows and then present as our output. Now, sometime we want to get a summarized information. Now, summarized information are not physically stored in the database, but when you are retrieving you want to do some calculation and obtain some derived data. So, for example, you have a employee table, you may want to know how many employees are there, which means you have to just count and give a value which will indicate there are so many records. So, likewise you may want to do a average of something or maximum value, minimum value and so forth. So, these type of things belongs to some aggregate function what we perform using SQL, and there are certain keywords you can use to get this aggregate information. So, we use AVG for average, MIN for minimum, MAX for maximum, SU sum or the summation and count to identify how many items are there. So, how many records are there or how many rows are there. So, we will look at some examples of using them as well, and then we mention about subqueries using the in function. We will look at about the subqueries as well. Sometimes you may need to use that use the subquery to do part of the task of the requirement and then pass that output to another step to get the final result. So, then only you will have subqueries within the expressions. So, with respect to some examples, we have taken an employee table, because we are dealing with averages, minimum, maximum is not the same table what we had earlier. We have slightly modified the example table employee, and the idea is to illustrate how to use these functions, aggregate functions, and where you specify it. So, aggregate function is used to get the output of a summarized information. So, in this particular case employee table, we have 5 rows of 5 rows representing 5 employees, and So, the output we are looking for is how many employees, which is 5, and how do you get it using SQL is you say select, instead of the list of items which we listed earlier like e name, e number and so forth, we say a function, because that function value is the output. So, these aggregate functions are used similar way to how you use in the uh, the data item list as your output columns. So, the function names must be known like avg, count and so forth. As it is a function, there should be within brackets some argument. So, in this particular case we are illustrating how to count, and the counting you can, if you count with respect to any argument, you get the same answer in this case. That is, if you count with respect to employee number, how many employees with employee number or how many employees with job or salary, all get the same value. So, we use asterisk which indicate anything is ok, and we will identify that there are 5 rows. So, the function is count within bracket star, and that would be the output column. So, here it is not a column name from a table, but it is a built in function, and that will give the count of how many records are there. So, in this particular case you are counting records in the employee table. So, the syntax would be select count star from employee. Then we will look at another built in function, in this particular case using average. So, to use average you have to have a numeric set of data. You can't use average for any data item, you can't identify average of a job, because those are character strings. So, the average means you take the values, in this case salary, this 5 salary values you average over the 5 employees. So, you add the 5 salaries and divide by 5, that would be the answer. So, you can get it through a function called avg. So, if you say select avg within bracket salary from this particular table, then you would get the average salary as, in this case the answer is 12,400. So, you have to specify which column you are averaging, because averaging can be for DNO, salary, ENO, and some of these things it will not work if you say job, or even for E number, even if it works it does not make sense. So, you need to specify the correct meaningful column to calculate the average. So, likewise you can specify these functions. So, if I want, I can say MIN salary, that is the minimum salary, or MAX salary, maximum salary, then I would have got 8,000 or the 20,000. Sometimes we may want one table having all those summaries. So, you can say count star comma average comma average salary comma mean salary comma max salary, then in one row we will get all the values. So, it is possible to use in that manner as well. So, whenever you are using these aggregate functions, remember these aggregate functions appears as an output column soon after the select, not anywhere else. Common mistake is some uses this in a expression in a where clause, which is incorrect. This has to be output, you can't use in expressions. You may use in expressions in other programming environment, but not in SQL. So, that is how you would identify these and use these special functions. And in addition to that, we will next look at 2 more keywords which was introduced with the select command, which is to group data and filter data from those groups. So, we have 2 keywords called group by and having. So, first we will look at what is group by. Grouping means you rearrange the data based on some values, and for that group one possible value will have one entry. For example, if you group by we will say department number, then you will have one department number in your output. For example, department number 10 will have only one row, although actually in the data set we had plenty. So, for every possible matching value you will get one output entry. So, it is like taking a set of distinct values of whatever the grouping condition and providing the other information. So, if you are looking at this particular example, now we have the employee data. Suppose I want to know for each department what is the average salary. So, department number 10 what is the average salary, department number 20 what is the average salary, department number 30 what is the average salary. So, how you do it is you group the data based on this department number, then for that particular department it will calculate the average, because in this case the output is for average. So, what it will do is it will rearrange the data according to department numbers and apply your aggregate function to the records satisfying the values of that group. So, that for department number 10 20,000 and 8,000 is average, and then you get 14,000. Department number 20 there is only one record. So, 9,000 is average to get the same 9,000. Then for 30 you average over this 25,000 by 2, which is 12,500. So, that is how it would work with respect to the averaging. And when you are grouping any data grouping the whatever the data by some condition, usually your output must have the group condition and whatever the summary information. If you use without the group condition in your output, the output will be not meaningful. For example, if you drop the DNO and just show average salary and show the three values 14,000, 9,000 and 12,500, it will not make sense. Only when you say department 10 is 14,000, only it makes some sense. So, your output one column or first set of columns must be this group by condition. Then the next set can be whatever the aggregate functions like average, minimum, maximum and so forth. You can't use any other attribute other than the group by condition attributes or the summary values. Any other cannot be used in output when you are using the group by condition. For example, in this case we have job. Now, you can't introduce job as an output column in this select statement, because job is not part of the group by condition. So, for a particular department we can count how many people have jobs or whatever, but you can't count for manager, clerk and so forth, because our condition does not have that. So, you need to be careful with respect to expressing group by conditions. This is a common mistake people do by not thinking with respect to the requirement of the group, and the group what it does is summarize the data based on the group conditions, which is basically a count, average and so forth. So, you can't have any other attributes as part of your output. Then with respect to having, it is like where clause, but only difference is the filtering condition applies after grouping. Now, normal where clause will filter data before grouping, but having will filter data after grouping. So, having can be applied only to a output of a group by condition. So, if you ignore the last statement of having, and if you look at what is the output of using select DNO average salary from employee group by DNO, you got a table with 3 rows. Then that table if you want to filter, for example, we want to only records with average salary greater than 12,000, then you want to filter from that output. So, for that purpose you can use this having. So, having cannot be used without a group by condition, and the purpose is to filter the output you get prior to that using the having clause. Suppose we wanted to apply this condition based on filtered data before grouping, then you must have a where clause. For example, suppose we wanted to take not all employees, we wanted to take employees, we will say who are managers. Then when you are averaging for department number based on managers. So, in this particular case we have only one manager for each department. So, as a result the average is with respect to that person. So, if we had select DNO average salary from employee where job equals manager, then you get all the managers, then average their salaries and that would be the output. Then you would get for department 10 20,000, department 30 it is 15,000 and you do not get any other record because there are only managers in those two departments. So, so that is the difference between using the where and the having clause. Where is used for the original data table what you have in the from table, and with respect to the having, it must go with the group by statement. So, yeah, so in this particular syntax it is typing error there, it should be from instead not from. So, that is basically introducing how to use the group by and having clause. So, we have now gone through basically all the possible syntax with respect to the select statement, which is actually the select, from, where, group by, having and order by. So, all those keywords can be used depending on the need to use or the requirement of the output. Some statements you will not use and so forth, but whatever you use ultimately it goes as one expression, one statement where it has use of certain keywords. Next we will briefly introduce the subqueries, which is also goes as nested queries as well, especially when you are using subqueries inside another select statement. So, that the difference between writing an expression using a subquery and not otherwise, you would get some idea through the next few slides. So, subquery is a select statement that is nested inside a where clause. Now, we saw earlier a subquery inside a where clause using the in clause. So, here also we are talking about the very similar thing, but we are now going into more detailed example. Earlier we just introduced because we used it with the in keyword. So, for this particular purpose we are using a particular example where we are going to list all suppliers supplying part P2. So, we assume there are data tables which has about list of suppliers, list of parts what are being supplied and which supplier has supplied which parts. So, all those are in different tables. So, if we are retrieving data of that nature, we want to know the name of the supplier supplying a part called P2 and the parts supplied by various suppliers are in a particular table. We will assume that table is called supply. The list of the supply details are available in the supply table. Then in that case, to extract such data, we can do it in two stages. First of all, we can go through the supply table which will have details about this supplier supplied this part. So, the supply table will have the data about the supply indicating which supplier supplied which part. So, the part what we are interested is P2. So, which means if you go through the supply table and match for part equals P2, then those records are what we are interested, but that data actually have only a supply number. So as a result we get a list of supply numbers, but our interest is actually the name. Supply name is not actually available in the same table. Supply table do not have the all the names. The names are stored in a separate table called supplier. So, in such case what we have to do is the matching numbers you get from one table and pass it to another query to get the corresponding names. You can do this using a join as well, but in this particular case we are showing how to do it using a subquery. So, in this particular situation the subquery is select SNO from supply where PNO equals P2. So, a table called supply we are filtering only supply numbers, only one column, satisfying records where that supplier has supplied only part P2. Then those records are extracted and then you get, for example, supply number 10, 20, 30 have supplied those. Then those things are taken as a set of values and we have used this in keyword what was mentioned before, and in the supplier table there are all the supply details, and for each supply number we are taking the corresponding name by matching these numbers what we extracted from the subquery with the supply table, and you get the corresponding output. So, the same can be achieved in an alternative way using a traditional equal join condition, and in this particular case we have expressed as select supply name from these two tables, that is supply and supply, and the condition is two supply numbers must be equal, SNO equals SNO, one is from supply, other is from supplier, and then the part number PNO equals P2 is the other condition. So, you can express in that manner or using as a subquery. So, whichever way you do you will get the same result. So, which means subqueries are can be used as an alternative way of solving some type of problems, but there are some problems you can't solve without using the subquery facility. So, we will look at one of those as well. Now, I mentioned these aggregate functions you can get it only as an output column. Suppose you want to get some details, we will say give me the employee details of the employee who is paid the lowest salary. So, in that case first of all we have to know what is the lowest salary, what is the value of the lowest salary. Now, that we do not know, and to get that only way we can do is use a function called min salary as an output of a table. So, for that you have to use this subquery, because you can't use min salary as a part of expression without a subquery. So, in this particular case select min salary from employee will identify one value which is the minimum salary value. Then that you can compare with the employee table and see which employees matches with that value. So, if the minimum salary is 8,000, all employees having 8,000 will be part of this output. So, as the value 8,000 is a single value, we can combine here using the equal operator. Otherwise, we have to use the in, because the most of the cases like in the previous example you will get more than one value as your output, but when you are using aggregate function you can have only one value as the output. So, as a result equal is also sufficient. Using in or equal in this case both are correct, and so in this case we are displaying e name and salary as our output. Then the next example again uses a subquery, and it also introduces two more keywords, and again when using such functions you are forced to use the subquery feature, because exist also you can't use without the use of subqueries. So, if you first of all look at only the subquery, So, what you have is you are executing select statement, select star from title, that means there is a table called title, you are taking all the fields of that table, satisfying some condition. So, the condition is pub id equals publisher dot pub id, that means the two publisher IDs we are matching. So, one is from the title table, the other is from the publisher table, and then we also have another condition called type equals business. So, the business type books we want to identify from which publisher, and we get those details. So, here we will have an output of titles belongs to the category called business, the book titles. Now, using exist, what we are doing is, if such books are available, then do something else. If it is not exist, we don't do anything. So, in this particular case, if this satisfied, we want to display the name, display the publisher name whose book ID, whose book type belongs to business. So, some publishers can have several business type books. So, in such case, several records will match for that. So, we do not want the same name appearing many times in our output. So, to eliminate duplicates, as a result, we are using the keyword called distinct. So, the distinct keyword is used to eliminate duplicates, to ensure that one publisher name will appear only once in our output, and the exist condition is used because we are not interested about the matching output values from the subquery, we are only want to know if it matches or not. So, if it matches from the title table, if there is a publisher ID belonging to business type books, then the corresponding name we take it from the publisher table and use it for output. So, that is how this query we have used the exist to see whether there are matching values or not, and if so, do the other task of listing. So, the example illustrate the use of subqueries with the keyword exist. So, find all publishers who publish business books is the example we have looked at in this particular situation. So, the wide range of using SQL statements for variety of purposes is what we have looked at here. So, through this we have basically only introduced certain syntax of using SQL data manipulation for retrieval purpose. So, all of these will retrieve some form of data, and actually you will have to look at actual use of these for various purposes, and then experience the way to express these statements on your own. So, this is basically introducing the syntax of the SQL select statement. So, likewise we will next look at the insert, update and the delete, which are also part of the data manipulation statements, and similarly we will look at about the use of those syntax as well. So, if you go into the insert command, as mentioned before, insert is to add new data to a table. So, you can add one at a time or set of data in one go. So, most of the time if you are filling a form, you will fill about data about one employee or one student or whatever you are entering at a time. So, most of the time you deal with one at a time, but sometimes you have already entered and kept it somewhere else, then you want to upload those data in one go. So, it is like a bulk insertion. So, such cases you may insert from another source to and put it to your destination table. So, both ways you can insert data, and whichever way you use, there are two different formats provided. The insert into is the keyword common for both. So, you have to tell insert into, then it will know you are going to insert new data. You have to say into which table. So, you have to say insert into employee or insert into student or department or whatever. Then when you are inserting, the employee table will have some column names. So, you have to say which column you are going to insert. So, when inserting, you have to specify the data and the corresponding columns. So, these should match, and when it is inserting, the database will automatically check for various constraints you have already defined. So, if the constraints are not validated, the constraints are not met, then it will reject your insert the requested data, because it will accept only it does not violate whatever the rules. So, you have to make sure that if you are putting some data, it should match to the rules you have defined earlier when creating your tables. So, insert into table values and within brackets the set of values. So, if you have two column names, then you have to have two values within brackets after values. Now, these values must be within quotes if it is a character string, without quotes if it is a number. So, you need to have an idea about the data type of these values. So, when retrieving, you can do blindly without knowing what data type and so forth. Only for averaging and things you need to know that it is a numeric value, but to insert you must have idea about the data type. So, insert, update, delete are more of a specialized user task, whereas the normal select is a common thing where the user just tell these are the data we want. So, modifying, inserting is not of the same level. Then if you are using data from another source, then we can get that data from another source using a traditional SQL select statement and combine that with our insert into statement. So, instead of using values, you say the SQL select statement, so that it will retrieve the data from that other source and put it to the destination table, which is defined using select insert into. So, in this particular case, in order to enter one row at a time, we will use insert into with values, and in this particular case we are entering 4 values E1, DIAS, 26 and PER, and these 4 values will match to the 4 column names given in the same order soon after employee. So, emp number is E1, emp name is DIAS, age is 26, depth is PER, and you can see except for 26 all are within quotes, meaning those are character strings, whereas 26 is a numeric number where you just feed a number there. So, if you are entering 10 employee data, you have to say 10 times insert into and values. You can't say insert into employee values is wrong, because one insert statement must have insert into employee with the column names and followed by the values and the appropriate set of values in the same order. So, that is how you would specify the inserting statement with respect to a single insertion. If it is a multiple insertion process, then the first line will be the same, but the instead of values you have to use a query that will extract values in the same order. So, that you select data from employee number from the employee table using the same matching sequence. So, it will match employee number to employee number, employee name to name, employee name and so forth. So, that is how it will insert the data, and when inserting, if there are various constraints, it will do validations for these constraints, and if the constraints are and the data you are inserting do not match, the insertion will be rejected. For example, if there is a foreign key defining for the department code, and if you define a wrong department code as a input data, or if you do not put the character strings within quotes, it will be rejected as syntax checking process during the insertion stage. For example, if the department code is SAL and if you enter as SALE, it will not go into the table because of this mismatch. We will next look at how to use the update command using SQL. The update command is used to change the data values of one or more records, which is one or more rows of the table. So, you store your data. Now, with respect to the other commands what we have so far looked at, we saw this, the select statement had a select from where sort of structure, and the insert command had insert into and the values, or insert into with respect to a subquery to insert data. So, here it is slightly different the style with respect to the other commands. Here we specify which table to update and the change you have to specify. So, the update is specified using the update table name, and then the values you need to change you specify using the keyword set. So, you need to specify which attribute or column you are changing and what is the new value. So, you have to assign the new value to this column name using a expression style. You can specify that, and when updating you can update in a way that it applies to the entire table or to set of rows of a table, and to do that you may need to use a where clause. So, the general style of the syntax is what is given here: update, table name, set, the expression which is the column name which is going to be changed, that whatever value already there using the expression or value of the expression, and then the where condition, where clause, which is to limit the data. So, for example, if we specify update student class, which is a particular table called student class, and we want to change, we will say the course fee, and we want, if you want to change it for a particular student, then we have to have a where clause where you specify the fee is, the change is only applicable for that particular student. So, in general it will be like the amount you pay as the fee, if you pay partially or full or whatever, based on that you make that update. So, here we are changing the fees value to 1200. So, the 1200 would be the new value, the old value is what can be anything, you are, it is immaterial here, and you do not know what was the old value, it is the new value what you specify, and the condition where we want to filter that apply that only for that student, we have this where clause. In case we do not use the where clause, what will happen is this change of value to 1200 would happen to all students. So, the second example, it applies for all rows, it will update the fee to 1200. So, at the end the entire column called fees will have 1200, whereas the previous case only that student 1, 2, 3, 4 would have had that change. Now, as in the other cases, you can also use subqueries in update as well. In the where clause, as we saw earlier, we can have the subquery. So, here also we have where clause, which means you have the flexibility to use the subquery feature. So, the subquery you may call using this in keyword we described before, and in this particular case we are updating a table called works on, and we are changing the hours worked to a particular value, in this case 12, and we want to do it for a particular project, and that project is identified using a project number which is what is checked here, and the project number, as we do not know in this particular case, we are extracting by using the known information, which is the project name. So, the project name is taken as information technology. So, for that project name, what is the project number we have to find from the project table, and then the whatever the project number you find, you pass it to the where clause using this subquery style, and then for that change will happen. So, all if there are a lot of entries in the works on working for the same project, then all of them will have this same hours worked in the department table as required. At the same time, it will also do the same change in the employee table. So, that at the end both will have SALE instead of SAL. So, likewise changes can be done. So, in this particular example, you can see after running the command, both will have SALE as the code because of this change, whereas the previous one the change did not occur because of the restrict command. So, cascade will do changes in both places. So, likewise you can set null values or default values, and in this particular case what we are specifying is on update set null, which is the action to be taken from this foreign key. So, if there are employees working for SAL at this time, then those employees will be given a null value as indicated in this slide, and the department code would be changed accordingly. So, depending on the requirement, you will select what you want to do. So, if you wanted was to change both, then you have to use cascade. If you want to keep it null and assign later, then you can have set null. So, if you want to set to some other value other than a null, then you can also do that by assigning a default value. So, in this particular case, I have just put a default value as XXX, meaning it may change to that default value. So, likewise we can enforce constraints associated with update, but also the same applies for other changes as well. We looked at few earlier with respect to the insert as well. So, that is how the general use of these constraints also may be associated with respect to the updating. Now, we will look at the delete command. So, as beginning I mentioned, for data manipulation we have select, insert, update, delete, those are the key actions we would do. So, we looked at how to insert data using insert into, how to modify the data using update command, and then how to retrieve using the select command. Now, finally, we look at the delete command, which is to remove data what you have entered before. So, you may enter using insert into, and later if you do not want it anymore, you will remove it using delete. So, when you are deleting, you will say delete from this table, whereas when you want to insert, you say insert into this table. So, the wording is similar to how you would express in English. So, if you want to delete from employee, that means you want to delete employee records. So, if you want to delete all employees, then it is just delete from employee. If you want to delete only a specific employee, then you have to see specify which condition. So, then you have to say how to identify that employee, and then specify that using the where clause. So, in this particular example, we delete from employee where emp number equals E1. So, giving the employee code, we are referring to delete, which means that row will be taken out from the employee table. In case you do not include the where clause, then at the end what you will have is all the employee data will get deleted. So, when you are using a delete SQL statement, you need to use it carefully, because by mistake if you do not include the where clause, at the end you will not have any data. Now, the delete command removes only the data, the structure of the tables will still remain, which means later you can again insert into and add data. Now, when you create tables, we looked at create table command, which creates the original structure. In that we mentioned also we can use a drop table to remove the table structure. When you remove the table structure using drop, then it also do a deletion of data plus the structure. Then you can't add any more data until you recreate the table structure. Whereas here structure will remain, only the data is removed, and you have the flexibility to add data later on. Another example using a subquery, in this case with respect to the delete command, because the where clause can have any expression. So, any subquery can be attached to any SQL statement which has a where clause. So, this update, delete, everything have this subqueries as a result. So, in this case using an employee name, we are identifying what is the employee number using a subquery. Passing that number, we delete some record, in this case a record from the dependent table. So, like in the previous case where we looked in detail for various forms of restriction, cascade operations and so forth for updating, the same can be enforced for delete as well. So, if you do not want to delete a record, if there are matching symbol, we may want to prevent that happening, and the matching values are you take care of that by doing whatever appropriate change. So, in this particular case we are specifying if there are matching employees for the sales department, then do not allow to delete. Or you may say if you delete the sales department, you delete also the all employees of the sales department as well. So, in this case we are restricting. So, as a result, if you try to delete the sales department, it will not allow, because there are 2 employees already attached to that department. But whereas if you say cascade, what will happen is those 2 employees plus the department record, both all 3 will get deleted. So, in this particular case the sales department record from the department will get removed, plus the 2 employee records belong to the same department will also get removed if you had the cascade. So, depending on the requirements, you have to select which option to use. Similarly, to the earlier case, you can also, without deleting, you can assign a your own value, because after deleting you do not want the SAL to be there in the system, because there is no such department. So, you have to assign it either a null value or a default value. So, in this particular case we are showing how to assign a null value, and which will delete the department sales record and assign null values. And similarly, you can also attach a default value, and this delete statement is the same, only the constraint is what is going to change, and as a result based on that those values will be inserted.